Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Spooky Pops here with another New World video. The newest expansion of New World is coming in less than 10 days, and there's a lot of hype for the new update. Brimstone Sands offers New World players a huge update to the game, including new areas to explore, a new dungeon to conquer, crafting changes to forge new gear, a brand new weapon, and a huge overhaul to the leveling experience. All in all, it is a lot of new content for New World players to enjoy, and the devs have already stated in their latest video that this update will be one of the last big updates for the next 6 months. Although I have heard mixed reviews about the new areas Amazon is adding into the game, the expansion seems to be receiving good reviews overall. But this video is not strictly about the new expansion and all of the updates and changes we can expect. No, I want this video to take a hypothetical look at New World if Brimstone Sands happens to be a bust and fails. I have heard recent talk that if Brimstone Sands is a failure, there will be another huge decline in server population. What happens to the game and player base if Brimstone Sands is a terrible expansion? To tackle this question, we must first examine how the game was at launch. New World was huge for the first week, even the first month back at launch. I was one of those players who no-lifed it with the rest of the sweaty players and quickly made my way to level 60 by doing town boards and running corrupted portals. Unfortunately, after 2 or 3 weeks into the game, the exploits, bugs, and dupes started to sweep through the game and things went south fast. So many players abused the game and quickly had BIS gear, endless gold, and duped items. This activity drove away many players, but I decided to stick through it all and keep playing. The loyal players were slightly rewarded when Amazon supposedly cleaned up the dupes as best they could. But I still remain cynical to this day that Amazon actually removed all of the exploited items and gold. Regardless, the exploits slowly died down, which was good for the game. However, the core problem of New World was never about the exploits, bugs, or dupes, but the actual content and features of the game. Let me give you an example that really encapsulates one of the main ironies and controversies of New World. We just discussed how players found an exploit duping millions of gold, and the entire player base, myself included, was in an uproar calling for permabans. Some players even suggested a reset of servers, which was a ludicrous thought at the time. While Amazon was calming the masses, attempting to rectify their mistake, the companies that had control of the key territories, Windsward and Everfall, were quietly earning millions of gold each week. For most servers, these companies amassed an insane amount of gold and equipped their players with BIS gear, so it was nearly impossible for other companies to compete in wars. The server was then at the mercy of these so-called elite companies. Some would just take Windsward and Everfall, leaving the rest of the map open, while others would capture every territory. Then there were those servers that faced the ultimate evil and had all territory taxes jacked up to the max. Although forum and Reddit posts were made discussing the concerning gold inconsistencies, Amazon did not seem to care and/or had their hands full with bugs, exploits, and dupes, which is the ultimate irony. That is, the players duping gold were creating the same problem that the game intrinsically allowed to the top companies generating millions of gold, except one was obviously a cheat while the other was a feature of the game. The gold discrepancy issue wasn't the only glaring problem with the game. The leveling process was brutal after level 40. The main story questline only got you so far, and then you had to wait for corruption portals or town boards to get you the rest of the way to 60. Fast traveling required an unreasonable amount of Azoth, which is like running on the beach. No matter how hard you might try, you move forward extremely slowly. Each storage location was its own separate cache, not connected to the others. Increasing gear score was ambiguous, random, and difficult. When you finally made it to level 60, in-game content was severely lacking, so the leveling grind made no sense. Most MMOs have a sluggish grind to level 60, but the difference is other MMOs actually have in-game content to make the grind worth it. When New World launched, they had a coming soon message for OPR, so the only in-game content available was invasions, war, and regular 5-person dungeons, which were completely uninspired. I could go on, but if you started New World at launch, you know exactly what I'm talking about. To put it simply, the game was released as an unfinished, messy product that quickly killed the game's hype, and most of the player base gave up on the game. Obviously, a lot has changed since the beginning. To Amazon's credit, they never gave up on the game, continuing to make changes and adding great quality of life updates. Nearly everything I mentioned that was wrong with the game has been fixed. Fast traveling costs are essentially non existent, leveling gear score has been made transparent and easier to manage, universal storage is a thing, getting into dungeons no longer requires a pesky key, there is more in game content to enjoy. Amazon has cleaned up so many annoying aspects of the game, and a year after launch, they now have a finished product, an enjoyable MMO to be proud of. And the Steam chart reflects the current state of the game. Population has been increasing since the summer and has continued to grow with the hype surrounding the game. Brimstone Sands brings even more changes to the game, including an updated leveling experience and much needed changes to territory revenue that attempts to fix the gold issues. Instead of relying on side quests, town board missions, or corruption portals like we were forced to do back in the day, the updated main story questline along with side quests will take you all the way to 60 as tested by many players, including solid FPS. I am also in the midst of testing it and will update you guys when I finish the run to 60. The gold discrepancy issue is being fixed by redistributing the wealth throughout the territories. Basically, every territory now has a revenue ceiling. Revenue earned from every territory will be pooled together and then distributed out to each territory based on different variables. So, as an example, Windsward and Everfall might make 1.2 million each, while other territories can make anywhere from 500k to 750k. It is way too complicated to explain in this video, but I will post a link down below if you want to know more information about this update. However, the single greatest update in the new expansion is that you can breathe underwater for a total of 40 seconds rather than 20. Great stuff, Amazon. But back to the question at hand. What if all the new content is a flop? Will the players coming back to the game lose interest again? My answer is no. Amazon has done enough to this game, making it enjoyable to not only just sweaty PvP players who get slotted in every war, but to the majority of players. The state of PvP is good, and AGS is active in the process of balancing weapons and builds. Amazon has done a lot to the PvE aspect of the game, and it's in a good spot too. I believe that players who are waiting for the new expansion are going to be surprised with the game and stay for a while regardless of the new expansion's content. Plus, Amazon has scheduled Fresh Start servers to launch 2 weeks after the release of Brimstone Sands, and the hype surrounding Fresh servers is even bigger than that of the new expansion. Scheduling the release of Fresh servers 2 weeks after the new expansion is extremely smart in 2 different ways. First, it gives something for players to look forward to besides the new expansion, and I actually know several players who want to return for Fresh servers rather than the new expansion. Secondly, Amazon will have 2 weeks to clean up any unexpected bugs or exploits. Recently, we saw an exploit with the trophy system, and Amazon's response was swift and decisive. If something like that happens when Brimstone Sands goes live, it's good that Amazon will have 2 weeks to clean all of that up before dupes and exploits can cause havoc on Fresh servers. Ultimately, I expect to see the population involved in New World increase to 100,000 players, even getting closer to 150 perhaps. Don't get me wrong, there is still work that needs to be done. Many PvE dedicated players want to see more content such as raids, which as a PvP player actually makes me excited as well. PvP players want to see new OPR maps and arena leaderboard rankings. But the game is going to be popular again because it is a finished product. It will bring back OG players and new players alike. So if you hear someone say the game will die shortly after the release of the new expansion, don't worry. If New World survived the messy launch and all the bugs, dupes, and exploits, it's here to stay a while. May we all hope that next week is bugless, dupeless, and exploitless as Brimstone Sands goes live. Thanks for watching this video, and a special thanks to the Amazon developers who stuck with the game even in the darkest of New World times. It's insane that they were able to change a sinking, failing game into the game it is today, a game with an exciting future. We should all try to show extra love on the forums to the developers who turned New World into a solid MMO. That's it for this video. I'll see y'all next time. Spooky Pops out.